everyone. Beyond the Bottom Shelf is a podcast in which we delve into books that explore sensitive and controversial topics such as sexual violence, bestiality, and body horror. We analyze this material with an irreverent air. If you do stick around, we hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Bottom Shelf. I'm Jules.
And I'm Ash.
And this is the podcast that delves into books that have been relegated to the bottom shelf. The daring, campy, transgressive, the unapologetically sleazy and tasteless. We read it all, and we savor it.
Find out which works of fiction we deem eligible to stay on the bottom shelf and which ones transcend into an honored rank of their own. We call this place Beyond the Bottom Shelf.
And we're back. And
Hi, everyone.
And that was Jacob on his new bongo drums.
Sounded really nice.
How much did you pay for them at the yard sale?
$10.
And the other pair he gave away for a Father's Day present.
That's sweet. Your dad's into bongo drums?
He just likes any musical instrument, I guess.
Oh.
He has like a music room at his house.
It's pretty sick.
And he was like, son, if you find any more stuff like this, just buy it.
I also got a cajon drum. Did you tell him about the cajon drum?
Yeah, he was like, I would have liked to have that.
Really?
So he wants it. But I was like, okay, maybe.
I don't know if Ash knows what it is, but it's where you sit on it and you play.
Like a cabinet you sit on, and it's like a little drum you use.
It's common, and my dad
You'll
has
see it a
one.
lot when like at a bar and there's some guy playing acoustic guitar and singing, and there's like a drummer next to him, and it's kind of just a light, percussive, it's a light percussion instrument that'll accompany like acoustic stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you after the podcast. I put it in
I
the
need more of
garage.
a visual, but I mean, I believe you.
It's fun. I feel musical when I'm playing it.
Yeah.
So, we've been away from each other for a while now.
We have like a week, or no, a little bit more than a week actually. Yeah, because Jacob and I were in Oregon visiting my sister.
You guys should talk about what you guys did in Oregon.
We did a lot of things, but we also didn't. No, I think we No, one day.
did a lot.
So my sister lives in her professor's house right now, so she's kind of house sitting. So there's a cute cat we hung out with. We kind of did stuff separate, and then like the city we were in was pretty cool. We went to a bar one day, and the bar's name was Squirrels, and we did some day drinking, and we brought our laptops with us. And Jacob got drunk.
Yeah, they pour strong drinks there.
It was like a quadruple shot.
Which is good. It was a good bar.
Good bar.
What else we do, Jules?
We also drove 4 hours to the Redwood Forest, which was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like we were in Jurassic Park when we got there.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool. Like it's
Middle
not
Earth, maybe.
Oh my gosh, cool.
And it was weirdly quiet in the redwoods. Like it wasn't like here you're used to going to the woods and hearing
Birds and crickets and
but
cicadas.
there was just like quiet.
Yeah, it was very quiet. It was interesting.
And of course, Jacob, everywhere we went, got cinematic footage on his iPhone.
You know what? I
that's
usually
nice.
don't walk around with my phone out taking pictures and shooting video, despite being into that kind of stuff. It's usually something I don't do. It kind of embarrasses me, but I guess I'm becoming like an old boomer guy that doesn't give a fuck. I'm just walking around filming everything.
Like at the Portland Zoo that we went to the Portland Zoo
I was
on the
shooting
last
video
day.
the entire fucking
Jacob
time.
was taking videos of every animal exhibit we went to.
And Jules was like, Jesus Christ. Can we go to the next exhibit, please?
But weirdly, like I love the footage you took, and I want you to show me some editing skills with it.
Yeah,
But
we'll show it on the video podcast YouTube version of this. We'll just cut in some animal footage. That'd be kind of funny.
And redwood footage. Yeah, we saw black bears playing together. It was cute. I love the zoo. I will never, no matter how old I get, I will always love the zoo.
Yeah, and we got to check out the Oregon coast, which is pretty interesting. Looks like you're on the surface of an alien planet
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like we had like otherworldly
compared
experience.
to our East Coast beaches, which are super boring
Yeah, just
They are very
sand.
boring.
in comparison.
It almost felt dangerous though, because like we were at low tide, and my sister was like, she was kind of being like motherly. She was like, "Don't get too close to the edge." She's like, "It's slippery over there." Maybe because I'm klutzy, but it was really cool. Like water was splashing. It was cold too.
Oh, that must have been nice.
It was.
It was humid over here.
Yeah,
it's
no,
so
the weather was
humid.
super nice, overcast and breezy and cool.
What was that town called? Yachats.
Hot.
And we did some thrifting while we were there, but like we had to be mindful of how much we brought back in our suitcase. But we found and I mean, like it was cool. We also discovered while thrifting that they don't have sales tax over there. It's like one of the
But
5.
their thrifting prices are a little higher than they are here.
Like a shirt there at Goodwill was like $8, and here it's like $3 at Goodwill or $4.
What?
Yeah, yeah. But they did have some VHS tapes for 10 for $1, which is so cheap.
And
of
They
course we
haven't got the
couldn't get-
memo over there that
They're coming back in
VHS
style.
is cool again.
Oh, and
then
Jacob
it's cool
found
and
Babe.
retro and like $8 a piece if you go to certain stores.
Yeah,
I
I'm
found
glad
a
they
copy
didn't
of Babe Pig in the City there for 10 cents.
which Jacob's been looking for every time we go. He's like, be on the lookout for.
Yeah, since we watched Furiosa, I'm like, did you know George Miller also directed Babe and Babe Pig in the City
That's so weird.
That's bizarre.
That's a weird discography to have.
and Happy Feet 1 and 2?
I remembered I had the PlayStation 2 Happy Feet game. I feel like I was.
Oh, what?
It's weird that I had that. Like, I think I got it on sale, but I played like one game of it. I think it was a game with a bunch of just tiny like mini games, like sliding on the
Yeah,
rock.
that sounds right.
Oh,
But yeah,
that'd be fun.
We should play it.
but yeah,
What else we do, Jules? That's about it, right?
I don't want to
Jazz jam.
jazz jam. Oh, we got Jacob to play. My sister signed him up to play in a jazz band that like performs at this like local bar, and she didn't really tell us how good they were, but they were like really
She was
good.
like, you could keep up with these guys. They're all right. And we get there. It's like the best band I've ever heard in my fucking life. And you can sign up and like jam with them.
That's cool.
And there were a bunch of like college students that major in music and they're super good.
The trumpet player was like super. Oh, they
So
were all good.
I played drums on one song and I went up there and was like, guys, I can't play this jazz stuff. Okay. So I'm going to play a 4/4 easy ass groove. And hopefully you guys can play along. And I did that.
But you killed it. It was good. I got video footage of it. This guy was like rapping the
wanna
trombone.
see it.
Yeah, we gotta. Maybe I'll snip that in
Put that in the video on our YouTube.
on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, you could just play the audio from it for like 2 seconds. The parts that sound super good, I'll have to listen to it first.
I know. I really like seeing Jacob go on the stage and perform though, because I'm like, now that I've seen it, I'm like, I want him to go up more. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
you should join like a cover band.
Yeah, that's one more thing to do in my busy ass schedule.
But Oregon was fun. We ended it with Portland. We thought of you because we were at Powell's bookstore, and I don't know. I kept telling Jacob Powell's was cool, but it was it's like one of the biggest bookstores, I guess.
Yeah. And we were super tired when we got there, so it was a little overwhelming.
Yeah,
But
we-
super cool, and we bought a couple of books, but
It's just like so much. It's like
Yeah.
overload, and you're like, where do I even start? And there's
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, and it's cool finding books and buying them in person, but there's a part of me that can't escape the thought that like I could probably just look this up and buy it online.
Amazon.
well,
So you would almost want to buy something just because you found it there, but it's like I've went 5 years without buying this on the internet.
that's
But I see it in person. I'm like, I gotta buy this now.
That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, you have to buy something when we came
Yeah.
here, which
Although
we did.
the one item we got was kind of a unique item to the store, which was an autographed copy of
a Kelly Link short story
Yeah.
collection, which was really cool, only for $18.
Yeah, not bad.
Oh, and there was also, I thought this would be cool to tell Ash about. There was like a book room where you could go look at. I felt like it was like in like Hogwarts or something. You could look at what's it
Rare
called?
book
Rare
room?
book
Yeah,
room.
it was like this closed-in, glassed-in area, and you have to go in by appointment only. And it was like, yeah, I think they have super expensive books in there. We didn't go in there, so we don't know exactly what they have, but I imagine they have expensive stuff.
Like they have the first manuscript or something related to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because I was at that section.
Is it like a museum, or is it like you can buy the shit?
You can actually interact with it, because I looked in there and there's people like flipping through the books.
But is it like?
I think it might be a museum. Like that you don't
this
can't.
is what
Oh,
you
why the
buy-
fuck did we not go in there?
Maybe look. I'll look it up.
Okay, let's look it up.
I wouldn't have people touch it then, no?
You may have to wear gloves.
Yeah, you might have to wear
Oh.
gloves.
I don't know. I'm just talking shit.
If you were going to eventually sell it to someone, wouldn't it be kind of weird to let people touch it?
All these things. Let me see. Hold on.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so the capacity for the rare book room is limited to 14 customers at one time. To enter, you must get a rare book room pass from the Pearl Room Information Center. Most importantly, though, the rare book room is home to several thousand of our most valuable and beautiful books, including an extensive library of reference book about antiquarian books. I don't know. It doesn't really answer the question we had.
Okay, so recently I haven't been really doing much, to be honest. So I have been playing more Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and I'm very close to finishing. I almost finished last night, but I was really mad when I lost.
Oh yeah, y'all were
Like
talking
threw
about
my
that.
controller. I was like, nah.
Did you really?
Well, not. I mean, obviously, I just threw it on my bed. Like, it's not like I threw it against the wall and like punched.
Some people get that angry.
Huh?
You actually kind of threw the controller?
I mean, I threw it on my bed. It wasn't like a whole thing. I was so mad. I was like, "Are you serious?"
I mean,
But anyway,
that's pretty cool.
I've seen
I'm proud of you.
Jacob get angry at
Yeah.
video games, so I would love to witness Ash get annoyed. How many times did you have to like fight the boss? Did you attempt to?
Did you try it more
only-
than once?
I only did it twice.
Does it take a while? Is it like a?
Well, the first time I just kind of wanted to see what the actions were, like what was he gonna do. And then the second time I was like, okay, I know. So I went in, like I kind of knew what I was doing. But then I got to the second phase of the fight, and I had no idea what to do. Like I didn't
You're
know.
not a true gamer if you only try twice. You got to play some of those like Dark Souls bosses that you got to fight about 45 times in a row.
I know.
well, now tonight she's gonna try.
Yeah. Also, it's weird to me that you don't just like. I mean, it's cool and admirable of you not to do this, but you just don't like look up a YouTube video of the fight so you can figure out how to
I know that
beat
was
the boss.
interesting to me.
I mean, I really try not to. I can very easily do that.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to.
Okay.
I want to figure
like
it out
that.
for myself.
Yeah.
Especially like with those shrines, those shrine quests. Like I've actually been getting them a lot faster now. And like I'm trying not to, because before I would look at the YouTube videos, but I've been trying not to.
Yeah,
And
with
actually-
certain puzzles, it does seem like it totally cheapens the experience.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes games though will throw some like weird cryptic shit at you, and it's like, okay, what? And you almost need the guide a little bit.
Oh, I know. Some of them I was like, are you freaking serious? It was like a figure out the constellation of the stars or whatever. I was like, what? So I looked that one up. But most of them I did on my own.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
good.
also, I've been reading my books, per usual. That's all I do. And then I've also been watching sports documentaries. I was just talking to
We
Julia
were
about
talking
this.
about this when you were in the shower earlier.
Like the 30 for 30 ESPN.
I
documentaries?
like weirdly like those.
The more she tells me about them, the more I'm like,
What's that one that's really famous? Hoop Dreams.
Yes.
Did you watch that? I've never seen it, but
one.
it's famous.
But I've been watching that one tennis one on Netflix called Breakpoint. That one's pretty good.
Is it a docu?
You got to stop watching all these Netflix documentaries.
Why?
They're weird.
They suck.
I don't know. Like after a while, it's getting kind of like repetitive because they repeat the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then I also watched the Tour de France one, and because I didn't know anything about Tour de France, it's always something I kind of vaguely always heard about. But now, like I kind of know a little bit more about it. And it's actually kind of interesting to learn about these like niche sports.
I think we should talk about Ralph Robert more.
I'm a little intimidated by this episode because the idea of like kind of talking about Ralph Robert Moore, he's such like a person that we've been reading for a while, and like it's kind of like hard to know where to begin.
Yeah, this one's a little different because we're not just like scouring Goodreads for weird, obscure,
Like we
bizarre
normally
books. Yeah. This is someone that me and Jules have read for a while and we like, but also fits the category that the show covers in terms of he's relatively obscure, and also he dabbles in sort of these fringe genres, like extreme. Sort of, he'll get some of it's erotica, some of it's pretty extreme horror stuff. So
yeah, I actually found like on this website where he calls, like where he notes all the genres he delves into, which I never knew that he like, I don't know, had noted that about himself.
Yeah.
But he puts that he's a mix of horror, weird slipstream stories.
Yeah.
But embedded in a lot of them is like erotica as well.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a whole erotica collection, if I
Interesting.
recall, but I haven't read that one.
I remember Jacob was telling me about this Ralph Robert Moore, because we've actually bought his like print. He self-publishes all his books, and they're like print on demand. But we bought his latest collection. I think his last one was his 13th book. He's currently working on his 14th book.
Oh my God.
His 14th book is his longest yet, and it's a collection of his nonfiction or his essays, and it's 800 pages and 200,000 words.
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
Does he have a
he's
job?
super prolific. He writes like a new short story collection like every 6 months, and it'll be like 700 pages and like 90 stories
Crazy.
long.
He has like 5 novellas, 23 stories.
So he's interesting because he's kind of a madman, and he repeats himself a lot, but he's also can be very good.
Even Ash is knowing what like he repeats a lot of.
Yeah, and she's read like 2 stories.
Yeah, and a sense of his style and his tendencies. All right, so yeah, Ralph Robert Moore. If you like look up his recent short story collection, it only has like I think 1 review on Goodreads, like a few ratings. But his earlier stuff, like some of his earlier collections have a few more. Like he is a prolific writer. He mainly writes short story collections. He has some novels, Father Figure being one, As Dead as Me, and Ghosters. Ghosters, I would say, is his most popular.
But Ghosters is actually, I've read some of it. It's like a short story
10
collection.
stories.
It just happens to be about these recurring characters.
Yes.
And they're different. It's like little episodes, because they're like these paranormal investigators, and each short story is kind of a standalone thing.
Yeah. And I did not know that until you started talking about it. And I like was reading people's reviews, but it is the most reviewed book of his that I saw. People really, really seem to like it. Father Figure is one that he has like snippets of on his website that you can read, because he's never like formally got it published. There was at one point, because I did a deep dive and I was reading some of his earlier blog posts. There was at one point where it was going to be published and he had high hopes, but he disagreed with how much royalty he was going to get. So he, and they kind of like took away his contract, so he never actually got it published by this it's called like Unbound Books or something.
Interesting. So he just went to self-publishing and making no money.
Yes, because it was he did a whole essay about it, about like the kind of, he went through all the like the email communication. He was about to get it published like through this company, and you could tell it's like legitimate. But and that's actually when I want to read more about this book. But yeah.
But yeah, just to broaden out here, me and Jules sometimes talk about weird fiction as a genre that we like. And it's this, Jules can, I don't know, I think you wrote some stuff down. Let's read a little bit about it.
Yeah. So the term has been around for a while. I think Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft kind of made it more popular.
Yeah, I think he like kind of coined it.
Or coined the term.
In a modern sense, right?
Yes. The weird tale, quote, has something more than secret murder, bloody bones, or a sheeted form clanking chains, end quote. Instead, it represents the pursuit of some indefinable and perhaps maddeningly unreachable understanding of the world beyond the mundane, a certain atmosphere of breathless and unexplainable dread, or malign in particular suspension or defeat of fixed laws of nature, through fiction that comes from the more unsettling, shadowy side of the fantastical tradition. Yeah, this comes from Weird Fiction Review. It is an essay by Anne and Jeff Vandermeer.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. We actually own the collection, an anthology called The Weird, which is I guess I would call them.
Yeah, it's a very popular anthology that they put out some years ago, kind of like curating a bunch of short stories that kind of epitomized the weird as a genre from, the late 1800s to the modern era.
Mm-hmm. And because I think it's Jacob introduced me to the weird, and it's one of the most hardest to define, if you even call it a genre, like what it is, because it kind of blends multiple genres.
Because it's adjacent to horror,
yes.
and often it dives into just being horror stuff. Sometimes it can be a little sci-fi. And some people use the word slipstream because it kind of moves between all these genres. My favorite strain of it, though, is sometimes you have like the Lovecraftian cosmic horror stuff, but about
Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu. It's like these extra dimensional beings that if you see them, they drive you mad. And it's slithery tentacle things and unknowable truths and all this stuff. And I like all that stuff too. But my favorite strain of it is there's a writer named Robert Aikman, and he's famous for telling stories that on the surface look like a ghost story, but they have so much surrealism and strange like details and things that don't totally add up in a way that feels uncanny and weird and unbalanced and makes the world feel like it doesn't totally make sense in a way that is reflective of life, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's something that Ralph Robert Moore kind of does well too.
I feel like it captures like a weird fiction writer or like Robert Aikman you bring up. It's like a certain tone, would you say? Or like...
Yeah, it's like an uneasy tone. It's a sense... I always describe...
Of lurking...
Yeah, there's like a sense of dread. A sense that the world doesn't totally make sense. That just beyond the surface veil of it, there's a lot more going on that we could never know or never understand.
Yeah, which it's like very like interesting feeling that it evokes in the reader. Maybe like that rules. I don't know. If that's
and it even breaks rules of like stories sometimes because it'll kind of like sometimes avoid simple basic themes and symbols that, hey, this represents a mother's grief. It doesn't really do that stuff. It doesn't play by those rules, and sometimes it'll twist things up in interesting ways. Another writer that does this well is named Reggie Oliver. Maybe that's someone we can read in the future, but because he's not super well known either, but he's super good at this type of thing I'm describing. And so is Ralph Robert Moore. What makes him a little different, though, is he dabbles in the not politically correct, extreme horror stuff sometimes and bizarre eroticism. So it's kind of interesting to read his stories because it really does feel like there's no guardrails, so anything is possible. So his stories feel a little dangerous because you never know what's coming.
Yes. I think that's a good way to put it, and this is how I feel like when reading Ralph Robert Moore, you have no idea what's ever coming.
I know,
Yeah, he doesn't play by like the rules.
And I think that's like, cause I don't even think as an English major, I've never learned about the weird. It's almost like people are like, cause it breaks past like normal like analysis of like what this theme is, like what could this symbolize. Like a lot of these weird fiction, I feel like there is no clear like, this symbol is like represents this part. I don't think it's very clear, like especially.
Yeah, it's a difficult trick to pull off because I think I read a lot of weird fiction and like 80% of it doesn't work for me because it's a tightrope walk. You've got to do stuff that is uncanny and feels weird and surreal and dreamlike. But if you try too hard to just be random and weird, it's like
it's obvious.
You can see the strings.
So he was nominated twice for Best Story of the Year by British Fantasy Society in 2013 and 2016. He's been published in not only America, but Canada, England, Ireland, France, India, Australia, in a wide variety of genre and literary magazines and anthologies, including Black Static, Cemetery Dance, Shadow and Tall Trees, Night Script, Midnight Street, all of these literary magazines. You can tell
I have a bunch of those on Kindle, so that's cool. I didn't even realize he was that well represented.
You do? You do have a bunch of them?
Yeah, I have Night Script and Shadows and Tall Trees.
Yeah, I didn't know he was that like...
I have a few of their installments.
Honestly, in a way, he's bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah, that's interesting.
This man does not just write fiction. He writes essays on writing, on metaphors. Nabokov, is that the Russian writer? He's he wrote a whole thing about metaphors, and he was referencing that writer a lot. I think it's called like The Death of Metaphors or whatever. And his essays are really good. And he started his online diary. He called it in 1998. And it's like all organized. And I started going back and reading about him today. And he's a really good essay writer. Funny. There's, you see his like short sentences, snappy sentences. You can tell he loves food. We know that from reading his fiction, but him and his wife, who he like obviously loves, right? They that's like his companion, his partner. He loves his cats. I've discovered all this. I read a lot of his excerpts, his diary entries, I guess you could say, going back.
His I think you said this before, but this is really sinking in. His nonfiction book is going to be called Welcome to Me.
Yes. and he said
It sounds like a kid's like learning about your sex organs or something like
Welcome to me.
For like 4-year-olds.
Oh yeah, like learning about all about your body.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know if that's like intentional, like self-awareness, but it's just welcome to me, and it's his longest book, you guys. When it comes out, I think
he's a very interesting guy. He'll be on like Twitter and he'll be like, "This is my song of the day," and it's like a Third Eye Blind song.
I love it.
Yeah, he's gonna. He references
it's like
movies.
A basic pop song. It's very interesting.
Let me just tell you what I've read about him today. I've read all about the time he watched Insomnia by.
That's a Nolan movie, right?
Yeah, he was talking about Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
He was talking about David Lynch. I learned about his tooth surgery, and that he went to a nightmare image. I learned about his job. Right, I read all these articles, and they were very like engrossing. They kept me like I wanted to read about this random man, right? Something because I feel like it's like who is this man? Trying to get a sense of who this man is because he's like I don't know. He contains multitudes, I guess. But weirdly, I found this post like. When he got fired, his nonfiction musing or whatever his essay, it's called "I Got Fired" or "I Get Fired." It was published in 2000.
I get fired.
I get fired.
And I don't know why I want to read this because it's just like a very hopeful, wholesome like thing to take away from his essay. I'm going to read the whole thing, but. My wife and I love each other. I was given a talent for writing. We have a beautiful home with a beautiful backyard garden and 4 demanding cats. If I roll 10 feet away from where I'm typing the sentence, I can pull down any one of 1,000 books from the ancient Greeks to the latest experiment. I remain a very happy person. As I've said elsewhere, I believe most of our lives are lived in our minds, and our minds are a swirl with memories. As discouraging as this moment is for me now, I know one day my firing will be only another memory, one that will need to compete with so many other, richer, far happier recollections. I look forward to that day. I don't know, there was something
life affirming and profound about it.
That's sweet.
And it's funny because his stuff can be super, super, super bleak, and it'll like gut punch you a lot. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
That's why I wanted to bring up his nonfiction because it's so in contrast to a lot of his like these other like the fiction writings. But I also see a lot of I see where he gets inspirations. That's why I feel it feels almost weird to be reading these nonfiction writings.
Every story you read of his that has a couple in it, they do all the same things that he describes him and his wife do.
Yes, exactly.
They're always sitting around in bed, ordering fast food, watching Judge Judy.
Or cooking their own
like
elaborate
story
meals.
after story after story after story that they're described as doing that.
That's so
yes,
cute.
exactly.
I like it.
But then he'll talk about people's cocks and
Yes!
cunts and jizzing on people's
Luckily,
faces.
nothing sexual was in these nonfiction.
Right.
But he also attaches photos to like these blog posts. And I wanted to say one more thing because like it's almost like interesting. This one blog post as well was in 2001. It's called These Things Matter. I think I typed that wrong. But he was talking about, again, his diary entries read like diary entries. He goes from one point to another very quickly. But he was talking about how he saw a local report about a woman who perished in a fire. And I just thought this was really like an interesting point to make. As typically happens, they showed a photograph of her. The only one available apparently was of her sitting in an easy chair, large stomach lifting the yellow stripes in her t-shirt, while the bent inwards fingers of her right hand stuffed Cheetos into her mouth. Let this be... And then he goes on to say, he makes it more like directed towards the reader, let this be a lesson to all of you. Our moms always told us to wear clean underwear in case we were hit by a car on our way to school or work. Likewise, we should have at least one photograph of ourselves that shows us with some air of dignity in case we are murdered or
He
drowned.
wrote that somewhere. He did in one of his stories. I swear he did.
Are you
Use
serious?
that line again.
Yes, I swear he did.
And Ash is just now reading
He's like,
Ralph
bro,
Robert
that's
Moore.
a good line. I'm going to go ahead and reuse that shit.
These things matter is the last line.
Yeah, because one of the characters was talking about, I'm gonna, I don't know, it was something of the effect that I'm gonna wear nice or new or clean underwear before if I get into a car crash or something.
Whoa.
And I die.
Yeah, okay. What's interesting about this episode is that Ash is not familiar with Ralph Robert Moore, so it's going to be interesting to see what she thinks about all this. And let's actually get into the story.
All right. So this is a short story. It's called Will You Accept These Flowers from Me? And this is a short story that is written by Robert Moore, and it's part of his collection of his short stories and novelettes. It's called Our Elaborate Plans. It is it's a big one.
It is.
I was looking at Julia's physical copy of it. It almost looks like a textbook. But I read it on my Kindle. But anyway, this is a story that's told from the perspective of our main character. His name is Michael. Michael is described as a nice guy. He's got, some Midwestern values. I want to read this one quote about what he's like as a person. And if you ever met him, he did seem to be a nice guy. Told some really corny jokes, but who doesn't? Polite, modest, self-deprecating humor, likable. All those Midwestern values. If he found a wallet lying on the black pavement of a supermarket parking lot, he wouldn't slide his finger down the back of the wallet, scoop out all the money. He'd check the driver's license for the owner's name, search for their phone number, call them for the lot, and wait, even if it threw him off his schedule, for the rightful owner to pull up alongside him. He's a kind man. So that's, which I think is interesting. So one of my things that I've always really liked, I liked about this was that the details, the small little details that he would give his characters to make them unique.
Yeah, they feel real.
Yes, they feel real.
He can really quickly create sympathy for a character or something with a tiny detail or phrasing.
Very specific.
Yes, but I'll get more into that as we go on. Let me continue. So that's a little bit about our man, Michael. We're unsure of his occupation, but it seems as though at this point he may be struggling financially because he's got this bill he needs to get paid. And so we're sensing that kind of anxiety about that. Now, this is the scene that we're in. He's watching TV at the motel, right? But then, he's, watching the meteorologist or something. But what happens is something like subversive happens where the faces turn into demon faces. And then we now are at a place where he's with a ping pong ball where he's like, it seems like he's trying to like levitate it. So he has his palm out over it. And it seems like he's trying to do something. I'll read it for you. Place the roundness of the white ball on the tabletop, finger pads, thumbnail caging around it, quietly lifting off, resettling on its top curve, quieting, until the ball stayed stationary on the table. Rose to his full height, looking down at the unmoving ball, black eyebrows scrunching, puzzled look in his eyes. He hovered the palm of his right hand a foot above the white plastic ball balanced on the wooden surface of the table. Concentrated, raised his right palm. The ball quivered, vibrated, lifted off the tabletop, rose in the air, an inch, 2 inches, impossible. He rolled his face back on his neck, nostrils flaring, eyes staring down fiercely at the rising ball. Up the ball rose, up until it reached his raised palm, and again he cupped its small roundness, took a modest bow. Thank you. Grinning with disappointment that so few hands clapped. So now we get the idea that he is some sort of performer and possibly a magician. He didn't flat out say it, but we get the idea he's probably a magician if he's trying to do this trick where he's like levitating the ball, right? So the audience...
The story's a lot more subtle than some of the stuff we typically read. This is kind of funny, the juxtaposition of this against some of the other stuff that sometimes we read here.
I know, right? Yeah. So the audience was not very amused by this ball trick. I loved how this whole setting was with the awkwardness of the audience. I could just totally picture it in my head. And I felt it too. I was cringing myself. I was like, oh God.
It was definitely secondhand cringe.
Yes. So yeah, that audience, they're not happy.
They're not buying it.
But it's also a very small audience right now. So he tries to ask for volunteers for his next act, but no one's raising their hands.
Ashley would never raise her hand.
No, definitely not. So there's, some awkwardness in the air. But finally, he calls on a man that appears to be, nice enough.
Almost like out of pity, he does it.
Yeah, it's really funny because the guy, he doesn't really want to do it, but his girlfriend, I guess, is like, get up there and help him. And then he's like, fine, I'll go up there. And then Michael is like, thank God. I thought that was so funny.
Again, he gets those beats right. Mm-hmm. That's cringy, though.
Okay, so because of the awkwardness and the small audience nature of everything, he decides to just skip the gimmicks and go straight for the act. he does the classic card trick, where he's like, I'm going to shuffle the cards and you pick one, I'm going to blindfold you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's a very basic magic trick, right?
Yeah.
It's not that exciting. So I don't blame the audience for not being super keen on it. But anyway, he gets the audience back a little bit, but not really. So for his final trick, he brings out his lovely assistant, Bella. First of all, we don't know too much about Bella, her physique, but so when she's on, the whole time, she's kind of mimicking a woman in love, like very much like the lovely doe eyes and like, you know what I mean? She's kind of like overdoing it.
Yeah.
So for the bit, the audience seems to be very charmed by her for whatever reason. And as Bella brings forth the table, so from when he did the ping pong trick, so she brings it forth to the center of the stage. Michael then places his top hat on the table. As he reaches into the top hat, it's like he pulls out a beautiful bouquet of flowers for Bella. I'm going to describe this scene for you. Okay,
Bella, will you accept these flowers from me as a token of my love?
She shook her head vigorously, side to side. More laughter. Maybe he should start with this bit to win over the crowd. Played it up. Can't be too subtle when you're on stage.
I am heartbroken. Well, I guess I better get rid of these flowers then.
Placed the flowers on the table, looked at them one last time, tapped the edge of the tabletop once, twice, 3 times. A puff of smoke, concealing the flowers, dropped down through the trap door in the tabletop. Loud bang, hiding the sound of the flowers landing in the concealed trap under the tabletop. He turned to the audience with a rueful smile, lifting his palms in the air.
I shall forever remain a bachelor.
Take a bow, looking up from his eyebrows while he was bent over, basically begging for applause, and got it. Now, after the final ending of the act, they did their bows or whatnot, but there seems to be something different about Bella's, body movements, physiques, when she comes off the stage. Quote, she took a bow, then scampered across the stage to Michael, hugging his knees with the purest love. Michael reached down, handed her a chunk of banana, hoisted her up into his arms, and grinning. I think from this...
Now we know.
Now we can probably guess. Can you guys, the audience, guess?
Jacob? Wait, no, I'm just kidding.
I've read this already. And I'm realizing the dynamic of the show is all fucked up.
I know.
Usually I'd be like asking a million questions very annoyingly.
But now Jacob
But now
knows
it's just
everything.
like Ash is just reading or going through the synopsis.
You're almost like the scholar on this
nothing to
man, too.
add.
So
Yeah, we'll ask you the questions.
Oh, okay.
make this interactive for them.
It's been a minute since I've read the story, but it's okay.
Okay, so you're still getting a new perspective. You're still like hearing it fresh
Yeah, and
from
I'm
us.
kind of getting refreshed. And
The
also, I
details.
will say this. I think I like this story a lot, and I think it's got a lot of good elements, but some of the stuff I was describing about his work, I don't know if it's necessarily present or best represented by this story.
Yeah.
But it is a good story. I like it.
So now we're back at the different motel in Kissimmee, Florida, for another show he's going to do. He's currently hooking up with this woman that he met at a local diner. So after they finish, he says,
I hope you didn't mind my monkey watching us while we made love.
shrug of a pale shoulder, parallel pink stripes still ghosting where his fingers clenched its thinness, riding the horse of his orgasm. I've had lots of guys' dogs watch me. For whatever reason, I tend to hook up with guys who have dogs. I guess it's interesting to the dogs, or they just like seeing their masters do something that makes them happy. Your monkey's really sweet though. She absolutely adores you.
Wow.
And sometimes I think his dialogue's spot on. Sometimes I'm just like, this is goofy and
It's a little silly.
Yeah, I think there's a streak of absurdism in his stuff.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like imagining this like monkey just like sitting there happily like eating like a banana watching.
Still in her like bikini or whatever attire.
Right. So yeah. Now this just asks the question of like, what is up with this magician and monkey duo? I mean, where did he even get the monkey? Even though it's not really answered here. But anyway, will they achieve the success that Michael has been dreaming? And what will he do next to elevate his act? Michael may be the nice guy, but will he truly finish last? Or, hell, is he even really that nice? We shall see.
Wow, the rhetorical
think those are
questions.
my-
I feel like they're very strange in relation to this particular story.
I love the nice guy question.
Yeah. Because there's some of these stories that he writes that are so bizarre and go down such a weird rabbit hole that I'd love to hear the weird fucking rhetorical questions you asked about those. What will happen next? It's like no one could ever fucking predict what's going to happen.
Oh, we're going to do more episodes in the future because I just remember how good he is. But Ash, I was wondering, so you kind of picked up on like, again, you were talking about it earlier, just like how he doesn't like place the roundness of the white ball, like just like this quickness to his writing.
Yeah.
Like
sentence fragments is what I was looking for.
I mean, he does it all the time. He's like, I'm heartbroken. Or what was he saying? Something vibrated, lifted off the table, rose in the air, 1 inch, 2 inches, like impossible. Like, I don't know. It's interesting how he describes
It's almost like written like you would see in a screenplay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you read a screenplay and there's an action sequence, it's all sentence fragments like that.
like
it's just kind of interesting.
Okay, so by the way, I kind of sectioned off the story by parts, and I
appreciate that.
It was a little bit easier for me to do it that way, even though he didn't actually do that in the book. So if you hear me saying part 2, part 5,
Ash,
that's
maybe you should be his editor.
Maybe I should. Coming up. All right, so part 2. After the lady leaves, he's now in the room alone with Bella, and Bella, you can just tell, she truly just loves him. It's not just for the show, like she genuinely really loves him. It was reached to his right, scratched the top of Bella's small, hairy head, her loving eyes staring up at Michael, blinking, and it was true love. It wasn't just about the bananas.
Something about that line.
It was so funny.
I think I highlighted that one.
There's a few I highlighted just because I thought I was laughing, genuinely laughing out loud because I thought it was funny. Okay, so Bella loves the final act that they do, where he pulls out the flowers and then he taps on the table and it, poof. So she absolutely loves that act. And sometimes she'll ask him to reenact it when they're alone in the room, just for like the two of them.
It's so cute. It's so heartwarming.
Oh my God.
Because she believes in magic. She really where did it go?
I know. She loves it. Okay. So Michael is kind of worried about his success and he doesn't know if he's going to get a break soon and wonders if maybe his dream of being a professional magician will come true.
Or won't come true.
Won't come true. Yeah. He even said,
am I ever going to be a famous magician, monkey? Okay,
so on the final night of his stay in Kissimmee, Michael's act is delayed as the act before him, there was an alligator assault on stage, which I thought was like the most like, it was a cool detail to have because it made it interesting, but also it was so bizarre. It was like, what?
I remember that, yeah.
But anyway, it seems as though the audience is still in shock about what just happened. And overall, that act, that day, that night, it was a big dud. And he was disappointed or whatever.
Because that got all the hype. It's
exactly.
This kid actually got hurt by this alligator.
Yeah. So when they go back into the green room, Michael gets a call from his agent saying that he got a gig in Tahoe. Bella is jumping up and down, really excited about it. And Michael is on the verge of tears as he sees this gig as his one big shot. Finally. Okay, so I really like this quote when they were heading down to Tahoe. I'm going to read it. Bella in the passenger seat, sitting upright, strapped in, watching the world go by through the front windshield, right side window, which always fascinated her. He rolled off the rhythm of the highway in Mobile? Yeah, in Mobile, Alabama.
I thought it was mobile.
Let's go ahead and look this motherfucker up.
Fascinated with octopus at an early age. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama.
Do it again. Okay. Bella in the passenger seat, sitting upright, strapped in, watching the world go by through the front windshield, right side window, which fascinated her. He rolled off the rhythm of the highway in Mobile, Alabama, pulling into a blue-white motel's parking lot. Azalea bushes surrounding the motel as tall as trees. Wide sign on white poles at the front of the lot announcing "Pets Accepted." Going out by himself, once he had Bella settled in the room, TV turned to cartoons, to the nearby Heschlin's magic shop, which had a good reputation on the underground circuit for magic props. I thought the whole scene was so cute. It's like, I'm going to take my baby and bring her in and watch little cartoons while I go out.
She's like a little toddler. Like you gotta give him the iPad and put on the cartoons. Good job on that pronunciation, that magic shop. I would not have known how to say that.
I know, that was hard. Okay, so this magic shop has a big reputation in the area. I guess I guess it's nearby the motel. Mm-hmm. So maybe he just already knows about it. So maybe he's going to get something to spice up his routine. So I guess most of the store now is devoted to selling electronic cigarettes.
That's actually a funny detail.
I love that detail because
it's so true, though. I feel like that's such a thing. I thought this part was so funny. Based on the shop's reputation, I guess he expected some old guy with white hair to come out from the back room, maybe with a white goatee. But instead, it was a tall young guy, dark-haired, Middle Eastern, who was obviously stoned.
Hey.
Hi. Michael sucked in breath, as nervous as if he were about to ask the man to have sex with him. I relate. It was funny. Okay, so I guess this shop is really weird. It has like strange rules. I was like wondering if this was supposed to be like fantastical.
Yeah,
I guess this could be the
obviously the
slipstream.
object he's about to get is otherworldly.
it seemed like this is the shop for magicians, like the one, and like this is like if you can get into the shop.
Yeah, it seems very exclusive because they were asking
But
him.
it's
It's
also
like,
mostly selling e-cigarettes.
exactly.
As a
So it's
stone guy
weird.
behind the counter. It's not like there's any other people populating this store.
because the guy asked him, it was like, oh, name 5 other venues you've performed at, and like, what's your blah blah blah.
Oh,
It's,
so
like,
does he have
interesting.
like he does this thing where he like checks his credentials?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember that. That's funny.
I know, it was interesting. Okay, so this one part. Okay, so he sees that there's this treat top hat, and he's been hearing some rumors around, or just like rumblings about it from the other magicians about it. I guess they like it, but the origin story is unknown. So he even asked the clerk if he knew what it was, and he said no. But I thought this whole interaction between them was so funny. I'm going to read this. The clerk reared back behind the glass counter.
I don't know. I honestly don't. How do you place a value on a treat top hat? Is it collapsible?
It is collapsible.
Does it have a false bottom?
Doesn't need one.
Doesn't need one.
Michael looked up from the examining the hat.
$50.
$5,000.
$100.
Sold to you.
That was. I highlighted it as the most absurd and like ridiculous
I know.
like dialogue piece, like because the guy's like, oh, like he offers for $50 and he's like $5,000. It's just like absurd.
And then he settles for $100.
That was so
really bizarre.
weird.
It was funny. I thought that was funny. All right, part 3. It's his first night at the show, and it's a big one. With his name on digital billboards, and everything about this act went pretty good. Then we get to the final act, with the one with the flowers and, tapping on the table. But this time, he's going to use his new treat hat. Okay, I'm going to explain this.
And he hadn't tested it before. He's just going for it.
No,
Yeah.
he's just going to go for it. Okay, Michael bowed to Bella, placed his newly purchased treat black top hat upside down on the table. First time he'd be using it, reached its right hand into the top hat, pulled out a steak. Bella held her grasped the hands up to her chest, head tilting back in a swoon. The audience continued laughing, enjoying itself. But why was there a steak in his top hat? Where were the flowers? Holding on to the steak, moist cold, a beat passes. Audience getting restless, wondering why this act has halted. Michael's face staring forward, wet with a flop sweat.
Bella, will you accept this steak from me as a token of my love?
She shook her head vigorously side to side, relieved laughter.
I am heartbroken. Well, I guess I better get rid of these flowers then.
Slip up.
I know, he slipped up.
Was that a mistake of Michael's or Ralph's?
I think it was
know.
a Michael mistake. I think it was like,
Oh, because he's used to doing this script?
yeah, he's done this hundreds of times before.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I don't know.
I was confused by that too.
Okay.
You would think he would say steak, not flowers. Maybe that was an accident. Oops. Okay. So then he, taps it 3 times on the table, it goes to smoke. He turned to the audience with a rueful smile, lifting his palms in the air,
I shall forever remain a bachelor.
took a bow, looking up from his eyebrows while bent over, basically begging for applause, and got it.
And they went wild over this.
They did.
That passage, right? Isn't that kind of like repetition there?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's very repetition, yeah. I think you're supposed to understand that.
Yeah.
And doing the same gig.
And it comes up at the end in an interesting way that I thought was cool. But anyway,
Yeah.
after the act, he goes over to the bar where he's flirting with a bartender. Her name is Erin. Okay, Erin is very intrigued by his...
I just didn't think it was quite. I didn't think it was quite bombshell worthy.
Erin was a
like-
hottie.
Yeah, when he meets a girl named Erin.
That was amazing.
I don't know. I guess we do it for lesser things sometimes.
We do. I just love it.
But it was in this weird middle ground between an actual bombshell moment and an ironic one. It was just like nothing.
It looked like your finger was lingering.
My finger was over there because I was getting ready, but Ash was like, okay, I apologize.
It's okay.
I actually like Aaron. So
Yes, Aaron was a very likable character. Sometimes I get annoyed by female characters and stories, but I actually like this character a lot. But anyway, Aaron is very intrigued by his act with the monkey and then the steak coming out of the hat. And she's asking a lot of questions about it.
because she watched from the back where the bar was, right? Like she was like in the back. Okay.
But he's all like, a magician never tell their secrets. So he's obviously, flirting with her and whatnot. Michael and Aaron, they're bantering, and they seem to have a lot of they have genuine chemistry. And this was one of the things I really loved about the story was the actual chemistry between them. It was very believable. It was funny. I liked it a lot. Okay. I don't know if I want to read this, but they have this banter about her cat. I had one, but I cut him up and fed him to my cat. I was feeling too lazy to get dressed up and go to the store to buy canned cat food.
Is your cat's name Mr. somebody?
Reared her head back. Why would you say that?
I don't know. You just look like someone, and I mean this as a compliment, that would have a cat she'd name Mr. somebody.
I don't know if I like being pigeonholed like that.
Listen, I'm sorry. I'm just joking around. I'm sorry. I really am.
Okay, embarrassed shrug. His name does start with Mr.
Does it really? Are you serious? Mr. what?
You tell me, smarty pants. Thought about it.
Mr. Jangles?
What? No, that's creepy.
I don't know. I give up.
She leaned over the wooden gleam of the bar, punched his upper arm. Mr. Whiskers.
I like that.
That was some good ass acting.
So after their little banter, Michael gets the guts to ask her on a date, but very nervously. But obviously she says yes. Now, Michael is still quite puzzled as to how the steak came out of the hat. He's starting to wonder if he may just kind of imagine it. Before the show, he put the flowers in the hat. So now he's wondering if you have to put something in the hat for something else to be pulled out. All right, so now Michael is, I guess the next day, he goes on his date with Aaron. Everything's going well. Michael starts to, reveal some of his childhood and about how, he was raised by his aunt. And he talks about how he started to do magic tricks so that he would seem more interesting and maybe his mom would be, proud of him, which is a little sad. Okay, so Aaron took another swig from her bottle. So what do you want? Spun his eyes.
What do I want? Okay. What's really putting Michael Kurtz on the spot tonight?
She giggled, reaching across the potted white crochets, stroking the smoothly shaved side of his face.
Well, since you asked, I guess I want to have a successful career as a magician, to be respected, to fall in love and get married, and for my wife and me to have 3 or 4 children that we really love, who love us and who we take care of, protecting them, going on vacation with them, and taking a lot of pictures, helping them grow up to be normal, successful adults.
You want a family? His black eyebrows.
Yeah, I want a family. I don't want to be alone anymore. I want to belong to a whole bunch of people. I want to be loved.
Aww.
Dang, why was that last line delivery? Yeah, I want a family. That was kind of sad.
I know.
It reminded me of
Because I
Michael.
nailed it.
Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
There's something so I don't know, sweet about this. It also reminded me of Michael Scott when he's like, I wanna grow up and have hundreds of kids so I can have hundreds of friends.
I want to be married and have 100 kids so I can have 100 friends and no one can say no to being my friend.
Yeah.
I know, there's something really endearing about it, but honestly, is our man that endearing?
We'll find out.
We'll see.
He's a classic nice guy,
This is
incel
one of my
style.
favorite scenes. Like the scene we're about to come to it in the parking lot. I think this is one of the.
Oh my gosh, yes.
This is such a great scene from any book I've read.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay,
Okay.
Part 4. Next night, he's going to debut his opening trick with Bella, and Bella's just happy as she can be. Now, so what's happening right now is that he's starting to get the audience ready for it, his new trick, And so he's like, yeah, you know, with the classic trick of the rabbit coming out of the hat and it, you know, secret goes out of the false bottom of the hat. But tonight we're putting a spin on it. So something that involves true magic. So one by one, all down the line, the 10 audience members he had selected examined the hat. Michael watching, eyes sliding occasionally to the audience still seated. Noticing they were growing restless. Realized selecting 10 audience members was too many. Took too long for the inspections. Next time, he only do 5.
Okay. Now what does a stage magician always do when he performs the pulling something out of a hat trick?
From the audience, a woman.
Or when she pulls something out of a top hat, not all magicians are men.
Let's go.
Yes, girl.
I also love the fact, this is one of my favorite details, again, with the Ralph Lauren Moore. He was like, next time I'll choose 5. Because I could just imagine having 10 people like examine the top hat. Like he must have like been feeling how awkward and long that was.
When I read that for the first time, I was like, why would he choose 10? And then he said it. I was like, okay, that's funny.
I just don't know how he is able to write that stuff. I know it sounds simple, and then access the feeling of it's too many.
I know.
On the character's behalf, and then write in a detail about him choosing different amounts next time. That's interesting to me.
It is. Okay, so one of the volunteers, he's kind of a joker. He takes, he's kind of playing with the quarter, and he's like, oh my God, I'm not going to get a fucking jokester next time. And some old man thinks he's funny. I'm going to get a young guy next time. So he basically tells him to put the quarter into the hat, and now he's going to pull something out. But what he pulls out, it's a bus schedule. Lame. And Michael is like, what?
Like, where's the steak? I'm just kidding.
And then someone from the audience, he said, why don't you put yourself in that hat and pull out someone who knows how to be entertaining? So after this whole bus schedule thing, his agent is pissed and tells him that nothing's working. Everyone likes, the monkey's good. Monkey's great. But everything else, bad. No one's going to pay to see him pull out a bus schedule. And
the irony being he's got a real magical hat.
Yeah, I know, right?
But it's just pulling out lame-ass shit.
He's got to figure out if there's rules to this thing.
Yeah, so he basically tells him that he needs to punch it up or else he's going to replace him. So we're back in the motel, and now he's trying to think of ways to make this treat hat work. He decided to take on Erin's idea, and her idea was that he would kind of create a column list where he documents what he put in, and then he documents what got pulled out.
I love that was like such an idea. Like it was like such a good idea. It's
like,
so
basic. Yeah, wouldn't you do that though?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it seems intuitive to do that, but whatever.
So this is an example of something that's taking its weird high concept and like exploring it more thoroughly out there. I was talking about this last episode with the door. Mm-hmm. Not exploring maybe the high concept enough.
Yeah.
And what it means and what the implications would be and what the rules would be. I feel like this is doing it well.
And way less pages too.
Okay, we got some dialogue coming up. This time, Michael decides he's going to put a box of Kleenex tissues inside to see what he can pull out. Michael was getting really nervous and decided to have Bella be the one to reach in instead.
Bella? How would you like to reach inside the hat?
Her loving eyes staring into his, not understanding. He mimicked her reaching into the top hat, grabbing what was inside. Doing it enough times, he could see the excitement in her eyes once it dawned on her the privilege he was giving her. Hopping up onto the table, she reached down, dipping her hairy paw into the tall hat's deep shadows. Michael sat back in his chair as far away as he can get. Bella let out a chatter, lifted out something long and limp, jumped up and down, with it on the tabletop.
Let me see.
A fish. He thinks he's onto something, so he keeps putting it in Kleenex boxes. And though it's not a red snapper every time, it's like fish-related items. So anchovies or like Thai fish sauce. So it's kind of lame, but he thinks he's onto something. So he's like, okay, next trick, I might,
I got a question. Is it every time he puts in a Kleenex box, he gets a different fish item? Or is it different Kleenex boxes? Is there a slight difference in the stuff he puts in to get a slightly different result?
No, it's just a normal Kleenex.
So if he puts in the same item, he gets out a slightly different item every time.
Yeah.
Of the same category.
Yes. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So during his date that night, Erin suggests that he should do like a dirty joke.
I would keep doing it until I could get diamonds out of it.
I swear.
Right? I would like...
Why does he keep trying?
Or like some old stock tickets from like the 1890s or whatever.
If I had that shit, I would be like up all night just putting random shit. I'd be
I know, right?
I try to get like Xbox games out of it. And shit.
What's lame is that Michael's like scared of it though. He like
know.
got freaking Bella to get her paws in there because he was too scared.
Oh,
We
wait,
could
did you?
probably put enough stuff in there to get ourselves new podcasting equipment. It would take a long time though to figure out how to get of all the items in the fucking world that you could get out of there. It would take a long time to find Shure 7B mics and cloud lifters. You'd have to put in like an empty beer bottle and a fingernail.
Would you get somebody else to reach into it? I might actually. I might be that wimp that would be like,
Because you have to pull the thing out. Huh?
I think that is kind of freaky, putting your hand to this black abyss.
Yeah, it's like a evil, a dark void.
Like you're pressing your mouth against them.
Yes.
I think it's an interesting detail because it kind of shows a pattern with him.
We'll see later. It is subtle character development in a way, like how he's using the monkey. I don't know the lesson, and I think Ralph Howard Moore was calling it like calling the monkey Bella like a less intelligent. I forgot what the word.
Low intelligent eyes. He used that so many times. I was getting a little annoyed.
I was like a little redundant at points.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so during his date that night, Aaron suggests that he should do a dirty joke when he puts in the Kleenex in. So whenever he, he'll make a joke like kin to like, oh, smells like there's a naked woman inside my hat when they pull out the fish.
God.
But
did she come up with that joke?
Yeah, she did. And so he doesn't know if it's appropriate or not. So he doesn't know if he's actually going to do it.
Yeah.
But it is her idea, which is kind of funny that she would come up with something like that. But anyway.
This is like Ralph Robert Moore's ideal cool woman. He's like,
I know.
Yeah, she makes like fish vagina jokes.
Okay, so this is what you were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. After their date, they go out into the parking lot, but there are guys outside to try to harass her. Okay, actually, do you want me to do it? I'll do it. Hey, babe, $20, you suck my cock. They both looked around, tall, young guy, long hair, drunk, staggering carefully across the lot towards them. Good chance to earn some money. Do me first. You got 10 easy bucks. Erin moved against Michael, looking up at him from under her bangs, scared. Michael stood there, not moving, not looking at her. The young drunk bent at his knees, getting closer. God damn, you got nice legs, girl. $5 and you spread them for Weasel. Michael tucked his chin down.
Let's move closer to the car. You think there'd be security out here or something?
He lowered his head, marching towards his car. Erin left behind, trying to catch up to him in her high heels.
I thought that was such a good scene when I first read it. Because it shows like this, it's just like the awkwardness afterwards. So anyway.
It is really
This
awkward.
shows the shitty position that men are put in every day.
You like let
protect
go
you,
of her.
ladies.
He left her behind.
I know, right? I would be so pissed, especially in the heels. Come on, man. Like, seriously? Okay, so as they get into the car.
Would you expect him to like fight the guy or yell something back?
But not leave her, like let go of
just
her.
Not leave me. Not leave me behind. Like, he's literally, like, rushing.
Disengage himself from her.
Yeah,
arm.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's, like, rushing to hit
This is a
himself
tough
to the
position
car.
to be put in. To have to like yell back, "Fuck you, man!" Like,
I
what do you?
wouldn't want.
It's hard.
I would not want my significant other to yell
like-
back.
No, I would not want them to
that.
instigate, but the fact that they like he left her and went to the car first, like rushed ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just think this is interesting. It's an interesting dilemma.
It is, and I think he does a good job with it.
So as they get into the car and they drive off very quickly, Erin is understandably pissed and she accuses him of abandoning her. I'll just read this. Michael, you didn't defend me. What happens when I'm really old and I need you to help me walk?
It caught me off guard.
Yeah, but when it did, you weren't watching out for my safety. You were watching out for your safety.
I'm sorry.
I need a guy who's gonna take care of me, you know? Michael behind the steering wheel, silent. I wish you the best in your career. I really do. Really sad sniff. But you're not the right guy for me. Michael tilted his head down in the shadows of the car. I'll tell people I knew you back when.
There was a detail in this where he saw her go into her apartment when he not like dropped her off, and he saw her like slump to the ground. She left the door open and start crying, and he was like he didn't like even have the desire. Like he like just drove away. Like he could have
Yeah.
gone.
He doesn't
could
like
have opened
dealing
the-
with confrontation.
Yes,
kind of
yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like he hates
Because
confrontation.
even like in The Office, we've been watching that.
The
Jules.
Ryan part with
Jim is like this.
Oh.
He he's like, his character's always non-confrontational.
Okay, part 5. It's the next night, and there's a huge audience after all the publicity that his agency did. He starts out the show with Bella. Okay, so because everyone loves Bella. Bella's the star, really. Sorry.
Cute animals always are.
Right. So it's Bella faithfully pushing his table out from stage right, dressed in a hot pink swimsuit, low intelligent eyes rolling, big mouth stretching open with pleasure at all the attention she was getting. The sudden rise in applause, the hoots, the laughs.
Bella and I have been performing one act together for the past 14 years. Throughout America, although we have gotten close to each other after so many years on the road, we have always maintained a professional partnership.
Bowed his head.
We have never crossed over into a romantic relationship.
More laughs from the crowd. Applause. Bella swinging her head round, which only increased the laughter, not understanding what Michael was saying, but looking at him with loving eyes. Him and her again on stage. Oh, these moments are so...
this is going to break you.
I know. Oh my God. I'm not ready emotionally. Okay. He was doing the same thing where, like he did last time, where he calls up the volunteers, but this time it's only 3. But
he learned.
Yeah. So he puts the Kleenex into the hat. And again, it's just fish related stuff that's kind of coming out. It's like goldfish. He's still not getting the reaction from the audience that he had hoped for. And he even did the woman's smells like fish joke. And again, nothing. I'm going to read this because this hit me really hard. No laughs, no reaction, silence. Hundreds of people he didn't know staring up at him. The owner of the casino at the back of the crowd, who had given him the thumbs up signal when he first sprinted on stage, baring his teeth. Legs jerking in his black tuxedo pants, eyes blurring, trouble breathing, echoes in his ears. You suck!
You suck!
Scattered applause. Always a shark in the ocean, always a heckler in the audience. They turned him on.
Hell yeah.
They had turned on him. The worst thing that can happen to a performer.
I thought reading this made me never want to ever be a performer because I felt
I know.
I felt like how easy, because I was thinking about like Kill Tony and these comedians and how easily just like they can turn on you. Like the audience really has all the power.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why it just hurts so bad. It's like, why do you want to be a performer if you can't? I don't know. It's just, I can't imagine putting myself through that.
As introverted.
I would literally die. Okay. So he decides that he's going to do his banana shtick. And I guess this is something that they do, is where he kind of peels the banana and then he chops and like gives it to her. But when Bella hears the word banana, she knew exactly what he meant. And so as he was pulling the banana and broke off a chunk for her, but this time he yanked up high so she couldn't reach it. And so he kept doing this bit a couple of times, and Bella is just obviously, she's really becoming upset by it. And she's starting to kind of realize when others are making fun of her, not necessarily laughing with her.
They're laughing at her.
She's kind of picking up that they're laughing at her, which is really upsetting her. Quote, she was quicker this time than Michael. She surprised him with her speed. But when her paw reached up faster than he could pull away, her fingers didn't grab the chunk of banana, but instead grabbed her friend's hand. Big eyes pleading, throat making a hurt. High-pitched sound, not for the banana, but for the return of his love. Michael glanced over at the crowd, trying to raise a smile, but looking sick. Staring beyond the heads to the far back of the club where Aaron stood behind the bar, crying, not for him, but for Bella.
This part was so sad.
It was really sad. Actually, the second read-through of this and reading that part was like, it kind of got to me a little bit. I didn't cry, but it definitely got to me more than the first time.
And he also feels like disgusted with himself because he's like, his joke is failing. Yeah. So he has to go to this like this low level
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he has to go so low to like use his partner, his magician partner in this way that he's never done that before. He's never like did this teasing thing and they're all laughing at her. Yeah,
it was really sad. Yeah. Again, not thinking about his women in his life.
Not the low intelligence. But damn, that got me.
I know, that was really sad. How did you feel when you first read it, Jacob?
What the fuck? You're not supposed to.
Because you were the OG Ralph Robert Moore. So, yeah.
I like the story a lot, and I really like a lot of elements about it, and I think he's good at these poignant moments, but I don't remember how I felt the first time I read it. But I did.
You don't remember? Okay.
I did feel it. I think it works.
Okay.
I really responded to the ending though. I think the last sequence.
Yes.
That's coming up, and I won't say anything because we'll get to it, but I'll explain why I like it so much.
Okay. Part 6. So we're at the end now. Okay. So when he got back from the show, he immediately went to the bathroom and just threw up everywhere. He's like an anxious mess. And now he's really in the slumps, and he just is like really down. He's never going to be a successful magician. Which, happens. Okay, I'm sorry.
Some dreams don't come true.
Yes.
That's kind of sad. Let me not put that out there. Okay.
Yeah, work a normal fucking 9 to 5 job.
If you're 38, I'm not just gonna.
And you're still trying to be a filmmaker or a magician or musician.
Maybe it's time to.
Maybe it's time to get a fucking job.
We're not sending that message. Keep
No,
chasing.
we are
I'm not
sending
putting
that
that out
message.
there. No. Okay.
Give up your fucking podcast.
The message we will send is don't hurt your loved ones in an aim to like put yourself get like the reaction you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't hurt your
Sure.
loved ones
That's a good message.
in the pursuit of
Jules.
your dream.
I like that.
Okay, so when he gets out of the bathroom, he sees Bella, and Bella's looking really resentful on the bed. And he tries to give her a banana, and, he's trying to say, like, I'm sorry. This whole scene, like, I'm just imagining it in my head. It just looks so ridiculous.
She's in her bikini still.
Yeah, and she's, like, being all resentful. She's, like, trying to turn around. But it still was, like, kind of sad. I felt for her. But anyway, Bella accepts the banana out of habit, but then she throws it back at his face. And so now she's kind of turned her back to him, and she's really crying. And then, okay, you ready? Him sobbing. His voice comes out in a high key.
Up on that stage, all those people staring at me, I got so scared. I wanted to run off the stage, but I knew that was career suicide. So I did the only thing I could think of. I made fun of you in front of everyone because I knew that would get a laugh.
Bella kept her back to him. Could tell any attempt on his part to hold her would be roughly rejected.
Did I nail that or what?
Yes, you did. That was good. Okay, Michael, after this, he's like, oh, damn. So he takes that whiskey in hand and he's like, man, no one loves me. I just may as well work at McDonald's. I'm never going to be a magician. It's bad. It's really bad. So, I mean, you feel a little bad, but also at the same time, it's like, well,
You're a douche.
you're a douche. You're not that nice.
Yeah. You didn't protect the lady.
Okay.
Neither ladies.
No, none of his ladies. So Michael begins to take his penis out so he can aim
Wait,
his...
what?
That's why I was laughing because I was reading the Ash's next bullet point.
That's her note.
Take his penis.
He takes his penis out.
Also, Ralph Robert Moore loves showing people penis.
Okay, so
he likes
because
penises.
Michael is really because he's really resentful about everything, and so he's kind of looking at the hat and he's be like, fuck you,
You
fuck
caused
you.
all of this before
You caused all of this. I hate you. I wish I never...
Stupid hat, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So then he's like, okay,
He's
fuck
drunk
it.
out of his mind.
Yeah, he's really drunk. So he takes his penis out so he can aim his pee at the top of the hat's hole. But I was like, what? Okay, anyway.
This is like one of those eroticas.
Okay, after he finishes, he passes out and falls onto the carpet. And so I guess because of that, the hat fell onto the bed. I don't know. This was a little confusing for me, but whatever. And now the top hat has begun to shook around. Bella went over.
Shook around.
Okay, that didn't work. Okay.
So is the thing on the bed, he falls, and then it kind of falls over from the shot, from the, you know what I mean? The disturbance of him falling to the ground.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe that's what it was. Bella went over to look at it because she sees that it's shaking and sees that there's fingers that are starting to emerge from the top hat. She's getting scared as it seems as though elbows, a really elongated arm is kind of starting to crawl out of the top hat.
I love this image.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and read it for you. As the fingers grow taller, a large hand rises out of the hat's shadows, twisting left, right, questing. She has enough sense to keep quiet, but backs up even more, low, intelligent eyes staring at the rising hand. Michael on the carpet, passed out. Loud snores. The large hand swivels its palm in the direction of the snores. Elongated forearm lifting even higher. Elbow raising out of the rim. Lifting even higher. Second elbow. Spilling out of the top hat. Bella jumps off the bed, whimpering. The large hand twists around. Big fingernails landing on the white sheet. Hand walking its 5 fingers down the length of the bed to its bottom edge. So,
This is a freaky, disturbing
it is really
image,
freaky.
which I loved.
I know. I liked it too. After you explained to me what it kind of.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting that the whole thing in this comical way, kind of explains vaguely the mechanics of the hat. And it's like you put in a thing and you get this other wacky thing. And it's all like goofy, pedestrian things like fish oil and goldfish. And then he does something vile like peeing in it.
And it disturbs
creates
something.
like a cosmic horror eldritch entity of a long, scary, multi-elbowed arm that comes out. I just like that whole thing.
Do you think something...
Because it kind of gets at the cosmic horror, weird fiction stuff of the unknown. And I just like the idea that he accesses it by doing something as vile as pissing in the hat. And it gets at the idea that the possibilities of what could come out of it are truly endless.
Yeah.
That an otherworldly thing, Lovecraftian sort of entity emerges from. I think it's a sick idea.
And it's because he didn't do anything even crazy before then. It's the most basic stuff, a steak, a bus schedule.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
that's what makes this part so awesome.
Yeah, because it's juxtaposed to this lame stuff before.
Yeah. It is cool.
I wonder if he would have peed in it if he had just been in a
What if
normal
he
mood.
doo-dooed in
What if
it?
he peed in it, but he had been in a normal mood? He was just peeing. Is it because he felt this resentfulness towards the hat that I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But earlier when he was putting his hand into it, the first time he talked about it, he was it feels so deep. It's I have a second elbow, and it was later.
That's kind of an interesting thing.
remember
I
that?
wonder, maybe it's another magician in another part of the world reaching in.
He's building a connection.
Wow.
Another failed magician.
Okay.
So as the hand advances, Bella scampers between Michael and the advancing articulations of the knuckles, raising her paw off the carpet, full of confidence, looking down, tapping on the carpet 3 times as she had seen Michael do for so many years, on so many nights, in so many states. Looking up, but no loud bang. No smoke, no disappearance. Still, the hand crawled towards him. Her eyebrows shot up in astonishment, puzzled that the magic didn't work. I thought this part was so cute. When she was trying to do the magic trick to help him.
Oh, she's trying to knock on it because she
Yeah.
the trap door effect.
Yeah.
So
It broke my heart. I was so cute. Okay, so what's happening now is that this arm thing, the hand, is now trying to move up and down Michael's legs, and it seems as though they're trying to pull him into the hat. So Bella is now contemplating if she should save him. Quote, "He was mean to her. He made people laugh at her. He made her feel humiliated. He betrayed her love for him. Sometimes in the jungle, she had to be so quiet, not move, not breathe, to where white dots would appear in front of her. Michael's stupid face, that she would rest hers against, all those nights and all those motel beds, across all those oversized states, bumping across the carpet, her furry head tilted to one side. Everyone makes decisions in life, even monkeys. Hurt still in her eyes, she rolled her head back, let out the loudest cry she has inside her, a cry from when she was still young, living in a jungle, worried about food and predators, and no one loved her." I was okay, so when she lets out the cry, and then I guess internally, it was, "Do monkeys pray? If they do," she prayed Michael would not let out another loud snore. The fingers caged around her, a last look from those low, intelligent eyes, as she's roughly hoisted into the air, brown eyes filled with fear and love.
damn. How does he do this? How does he make you?
I know, it's so ridiculous, but it's so sad.
And he's like able to go back into her prior life in the jungle.
Yeah.
And bring out this like whole like character development.
I was wondering when they were going to bring that up because it's kind of fucked up that
Where she came from.
Yeah, they like stole this monkey from the jungle. Like, poor monkey.
And that final scream to get the hand coming towards her.
I'm just imagining what that like sound would sound like. I feel like it'd be so upsetting.
That final cry. That shit, that like only that Ralph can make it this story about a magician as a monkey and make it.
Because I think the more obvious thing for a person to do here would be for him to get his comeuppance and her to like give him up and let him get taken by the thing. And it's like ironic that this monkey that loved him, you know, you kind of like.
It's almost what you expect more of.
Yeah,
right?
there's like a morality thing where he dies. But it's more sad and more realistic and more bleak almost to have the thing that's innocent have to be sacrificed for the asshole. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And give this character, this inhuman character, a moment of interiority, like this decision-making process. I guess she had those moments throughout, but like everyone makes decisions like even monkeys hurt Selena. She rolled her head back. Like she was dealing with this dilemma of.
Right. I thought it was a cute little detail. Yeah.
Cute and so smart. And also like, how does this man come up with this?
Those low intelligent eyes.
And I like this story, but I don't think this is like the best example of his work. So just wait.
Just wait.
Yeah.
You guys wait
Some
and
of the
see.
other ones, I'll curate some of these. Okay.
I've read some of the other stories in this collection, and I think there's definitely one that would be really interesting to talk about.
Which one is it?
China.
The first one in the
Oh,
collection.
no, that's funny. I read that and was like, that's all right.
Really?
And then I kind of like got sucked more in as I went deeper into the collection. But
Maybe you should read that one.
that one
Yeah,
does
I'll
have
read
some cool
more.
stuff. That one won me over more as it went. But that's not my favorite. There's some good ones deeper in the collection.
We're going to come back.
okay.
We're going to continue to come back to Ralph Robert Moore.
I haven't really, well, honestly, I haven't read from this kind of story, these kinds of stories like at all. Like I don't really read weird fiction or anything to that effect. But I genuinely like, I actually really liked it. And I know you said that I probably wouldn't, but I don't know. There's something really interesting about these stories. Even though there's some like silly things and like stuff that doesn't really make
and that's
any
just
sense.
Ralph Robert Moore.
And like
he's got some weird quirks. But I think the best thing about these kind of stories is this thing where you read them and you go, okay, that was fine. And then you like think about it a couple days later and you kind of like a little shaken by something in it or the way it ended or some ambiguity or some absurdity.
No, yeah.
And that's the mark of a good ass fucking weird fiction story.
Yes. If anything, it's just the concept of his stories is really what's just so interesting to me. Because like you guys said, it's so unexpected. It's like I want to read his other ones. Like I want to know what his other stories are like.
Because you literally can never predict them.
Yeah. I'm just so fascinated. So I'm very happy that you guys mentioned him.
Maybe one day I would love if we could, in the future, interview him.
Yeah.
Even though that might be very strange.
Yeah, we'll do that. He's like, I'm not going on your fucking shitty podcast with 2 subscribers.
I had a feeling that Ash was going to like him, though, actually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so does this short story go beyond the bottom shelf?
Nah.
Nah.
And that sucks. No, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, no, I think it does because I love this story and I like this writer a lot, but it seems unfair to ask that question.
That's what I was going to say.
This was a little bit more like set up,
Almost.
you know what I mean, compared to the stuff where you're just like pulling random stuff.
Well, I feel like we went into this knowing this was actually good stuff. Good. But what were you going to say, Ash?
Yeah.
I was going to
that we
say that
liked
I
it.
didn't know anything about him at all. So literally, I was kind of going into this blindly. And I want to say this goes like above like anything I've ever read before in terms of just like originality of the story and writing. I feel like he's just one of those people. And I read like an interview the other day. I don't know. Pharrell was talking to someone. I don't know. Whatever. He was basically saying how a lot of these artists, like the Wu-Tang Clan or whatever.
Pharrell?
Yeah.
I thought you were reading a Ralph Robert Moore fucking interview. So Pharrell interview.
Well, I was just saying that he was saying something along the lines of like, these are kinds of people, it's either you like them or you don't like them because
Right.
they're so original. And
Yeah.
I feel that way about Ralph Robert Moore.
Okay.
It's like He is so original. His stories are original. I mean, the way he writes, I haven't read anything like it in my life. And so for me, it's like you like him or you don't like him because of his originality.
Yeah.
And I say I like him. It goes beyond the bottom shelf for me.
That's a good point because I think people either do either like him or they just can't. They don't vibe with it. I don't know if they get hung up on certain things, seem almost like too politically incorrect or something, and they can't get past that point. But I think maybe that's too much to say that he is like brilliant. I think that it's respectable for a person. Because I do think he is really, after reading some of his nonfiction, that he is really, really smart. And I wish I had more of that in me to be able to just like go with an idea and just like, I don't even know how to describe it.
Like
unapologetically stick to an idea and like go into these horrendous details at times and be able to create this like emotional effect on the reader intentionally or unintentionally. I don't know if it was intentional, but this goes like, I rate this like beyond the bottom shelf, of course. Like, woo! Yeah, so we'll definitely be visiting him again. Jacob, I know this is kind of a different, not as traditional episode because you actually know this guy. I mean, you know his work, so.
Wait, so what do you ask? What's your point?
Do you think, like, because you've already read this, so.
Do I think it goes beyond the bottom shelf?
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to retake that. Do I think this goes beyond the bottom shelf? Yeah, for sure.
Any juicy details, or have you said all you want to say about?
I think so. I don't remember what all I said, but hopefully it's not too messy. And
thank you for finding this man and all those years ago, maybe 2 years ago during COVID.
Look at him with his action figures.
Yeah, I keep looking at him. I keep looking at his pictures.
Oh, that's cute.
Look at his. Check out his website because it's pretty entertaining, ralphbarbermore.com.
We'll link it in the bio.
Yes, because you have to check it out. There's just so much to read. Like, I feel like it's almost a crime not to like link all. Like, there's literally like so much writing available for free of this guy.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening.